How's it going, guys? Welcome back to a video that's sort of going to compare different kinds of screen recorders to kind of give you guys an idea about which one would be the best one for you to purchase. Now, before we actually get started on this, I do want to mention that I realized that a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with a lot of screen recorders. Some people like, using Fraps. Some people like using Bandicam. But the truth about screen recorders is that they're good for different purposes. Some screen recorders are really good for gameplay recording if you're doing gameplay for YouTube. Some screen recorders are really good for desktop recording if you want to do tutorials for YouTube and that sort of thing. Or just, tutorials for teaching a class in case you're like a school teacher or something. Different screen recorders have different purposes. Now, I do have 5 different screen recorders that we're going to look through. And I purchased 4 of them, and 1 of them is free. So the first one we're going to be taking a look at here, which I will, by the way, gives kind of like a pros and cons thing. I don't like using pros and cons for different screen recorders and different equipment in that case. But I will give you guys some different points that I'm going to talk about for each screen recorder to give you guys an idea about what kind of features they have and how stable are they and, what main features should you be using these screen recorders for. So, first of all, we're going to be taking a look at Bandicam. Now, Bandicam is actually the latest screen recorder I bought, and as you guys can see, the user interface is very simple. It does not have a ton of customization, but it does have what you need in order to do desktop and gameplay recording. You have different kinds of menus over here in the side, different tabs of different settings. Up in the top here, you have different kinds of recording modes, which are, gameplay recording and desktop recording, and you can actually choose different kinds of regions of your desktop you want to record. It's not just full screen, you can also make it into a region thing. Over here you can choose different kinds of, like if you want to take a screenshot, if you want to, go to the output folder and that sort of thing. Then you have the start and play. As you guys can see, I'm actually using Bandicam right now to record with for the desktop for a good reason, because it seems to be very reliable when it comes to desktop recording. Now, we're also going to be talking about some of the features that it might have. Bandicam, from what I can tell, does not have live streaming in it. Some screen recorders do have live streaming if you want to do stuff for Twitch. This one does not, from what I can tell. I might be wrong. I haven't looked into it that much. But looking at the menus and different things here, I can't see any streaming. Now, it does also have a very nice overlay. When you do actually turn it on for, let's say, gameplay, that sort of thing, it has a little FPS counter up in the left corner, which I am pretty sure you can move around in here if you actually do go in here and check out some different settings. So you can actually, you can see your frame rate as you're recording, which is a very nice thing that pretty much all screen recorders do have on them. You have different kinds of coding options. If you go into video, you can see that it has formats down here. Now, I'm going to say, for you guys who do buy a screen recorder, it's a very good idea to keep, the latest update of a screen recorder. Sometimes updates have a tendency to fuck up, and excuse my French, it's going to fuck up your recordings because for some reason the latest update had some sort of bug in it. But it's a good idea to keep the latest update because you will get the latest format options for the screen recorder. So by looking at the encoding settings, you can see that we can choose inside Bandicam right now, and I'm saying right now because you guys should probably take a look at when I uploaded this video. It might be outdated, it might be pretty new. Now, you can choose AVI and MP4, and one general rule I have about every single screen recorder out there that you might be purchasing: do not compress your footage when you record stuff, for various reasons. If you compress your footage, which is when you record stuff with a screen recorder, do expect to, for the recording to be taking up a lot of space on your hard disk. If you try to take a format setting in here, for example, if I take MP4 and go down here, and if I do decide to record with like motion JPEG or something like that, it will not take up a ton of space on your computer. But it's going to do something called compressing of your recording, which is the biggest cause for recordings to become out of sync and for videos to get sped up or slowed down randomly during the recording, which is the most annoying thing to be sitting with in post-editing after you're done recording. So, for the love of God, do not compress stuff in any screen recorder when you record. Some screen recorders do not have the option of choosing to compress. This one does, and I would highly recommend you stay away from it. So as you guys can see, we have the file type up here. We have different video settings down here, like the file, the size. You can actually choose different kinds of screen sizes for it. You can choose, if you want to half sizes, which basically means you're halving the resolution of it, which I would not recommend because it doesn't look very good. But you have different kinds of options here. We also have an FPS counter down here that goes from actually some kind of weird things. You can choose 1 frame per second, which I could not imagine you would actually choose. You can choose 23.976, which seems kind of random to me, because why would you choose something like that when it has 24 right underneath it? You can do all the way up till 120. Now, I would not see a reason for 120, because 60 is smooth enough, and YouTube maximum takes 60 frames per second. So, it has the FPS amount you need for basic recording for both desktop and gameplay. Down here, it has different codecs, like I showed you guys before. Now, the 4 top ones right now are compressed, so I would not recommend using them. I do have a tutorial on my channel. If you go to my channel and search for Bandicam, that shows how to record with something called lossless mode, which means that you're not compressing your footage, which will fix sync problems. Now, these two down here does not compress your footage, but they are kind of screwed up. So the one I'm using right now is an external codec that I got from somewhere else, which is a brilliant feature of Bandicam. You can actually take outside codecs and apply it inside Bandicam. It's an awesome feature. Down here you have audio settings. Just one thing I want to throw out there. I would recommend you use PCM for recording, not the MPEG-1L2, because it is much better to use for post-editing and that sort of thing. So, like I said, some of the issues with this software is that footage have a tendency to get out of sync. But like I said, I do have a fix for it on my channel, which is surprisingly the only fix I've been able to come up with. If you search on YouTube and Google, I have not been able to find anything anywhere online coming up with this solution that I have on my channel, which I hope will help you guys out who do actually have troubles with it, because it's the worst thing in the world to have a screen recorder that creates out of sync footage or footage that gets sped up. It's so annoying. My personal opinion about Bandicam is that it is right now my favorite. Like I said, everyone has a love-hate relationship with screen recorders. Right now, Bandicam is my favorite. I like that you can record in lossless format, so you get big file sizes that does not get out of sync. I have not experienced out of sync footage from it since I changed the codec in both gameplay and desktop recording. None. Ever. Which is good. It even does this little count up here that says how many gigabytes have you used in this recording so far, and how many gigabytes do you have left in your space. As you guys can see, I have quite a bit of space. Do buy an external hard disk when you do decide to do, recording with a screen recorder. Like I said, expect large file sizes. You should go for large file sizes because it should take up a lot of space when you record lossless. Get a external hard disk. So we're going to jump into the next screen recorder here. And I'm just sort of going to drag this to the other side of my other monitor here to get it out of the way. We are going to be opening the screen recorder called Mirillis Action. So, Mirillis Action here is my second favorite screen recorder. It's actually the one I used all the time before I used Bandicam. And some people might be getting some sort of pattern right now where they say, oh my god, this guy has no clue what he's talking about. Why is he not mentioning that Fraps is the best screen recorder out there? And don't worry, we're going to get to Fraps, and we're sort of going to get an opinion on why I do not usually use Fraps for my stuff. So, the user interface here is the most complicated user interface I've seen on a screen recorder so far. From what it's not the most complicated. It's actually the second. It's the most complicated from a purchase screen recorder. Let me say that. It's the most complicated user interface from a purchase screen recorder I've found so far. Now, it does come with different recording modes. We have the gameplay recording. We have desktop recording. And again, you can choose a active desktop region, which is very nice. I do not know why it's saying that I'm recording right now. It's probably going in and seeing that I'm recording with Bandicam, and it's sort of taking it as I'm recording. This is how it looks like when you do regions of a desktop. It's kind of being all weird and stuff right now. I actually have no idea. I have to close this down again. Okay, so we're back inside Mirillis Action. I did actually need to like force it to shut down because it's somehow doesn't like when I'm recording with Bandicam next to it while I'm having another screen recorder open. But this is not an issue I've run into before, so don't take this as a bad thing for Mirillis Action. Now, when it comes to Mirillis Action, like I said, it does have quite a advanced user interface, if you call that. It does not take long to get to know, but compared to other screen recorders out there, let's take Fraps, for example. Fraps is very simplistic. This one might get a bit complicated. I love the user interface. I like when I can go in there and tweak all the little things, because if I have issues with this software, usually I can go in and tweak a little thing and it'll fix it. Now, right now, after the latest update, however, I did run into a problem, which is that my desktop recording in here have a tendency to get out of sync. That is not a good thing. Like I said, it's one of the worst things you can experience. You have a really nice recording. You think, oh my God, I'm just going to put this into post-production and it's going to be an awesome video. And you see it's out of sync. It's the worst feeling in the world when you do stuff for YouTube. So right now I have sort of an issue with it, which is why I bought Bandicam. But before that, I had no issues with this one. Some people do have issues with Mirillis Action. I need to mention that when I go online, I see quite a few complaints about this software, which I have not experienced myself, besides the out of sync issue that I got after the latest update. It has different kinds of file formats down here. You can choose AVI, MP4, and it just included MP4, NVIDIA, and NVINC, which is not the latest update, but maybe 2 updates ago they included it. Now, the reason they included it, I think, is right now you can record AVI, and you can actually record with 1080 pixels. If I go in and choose MP4, you can maximum choose 720 pixels. If I then go down and choose MP4 NVIDIA and NVINC, you can again choose 1080 pixels. But if you go down to the frame rate, you cannot choose 120. Which, again, I wouldn't see why you would want to choose it. But it's just kind of, I noticed this thing, and it's kind of weird that it's restricting you in different ways depending on what you record with. But like I said, choose AVI because MP4 has a tendency to compress stuff. And you can choose 1080 pixels. You can choose every kind of frame rate you want to choose in here. You cannot make a customized frame rate, but you do have some pretty nice ones to choose from, which don't say 23.9 point something. So it's quite nice. This one has a tendency to sort of change the codecs from time to time. Like sometimes the MP4 NVIDIA and NVINC will be there, and sometimes in the next update it's going to disappear again. And so it's not very stable right now, but it's been very reliable in the past, so I cannot say anything bad about this one. I have a good love relationship to this one, if I would say so. Now, my personal opinion about it, it does create, like I said, if you want to record lossless, it does create large file sizes. And if you choose AVI, 1080 pixels, it will create large file sizes. But the quality is amazing. I like the quality in here. It's good. I never experienced crashing a game using the screen recorder, neither with Bandicam, which is a good thing, because I do have screen recorders who, when they just don't like certain games, and when I start up the game and I have a screen recorder on, it crashes the game. This one does not do that. So this one is very nice to use. Now, with the different menus up here, you do actually have live streaming, which is very nice, because there's other softwares that gets quite advanced when you need to set up live streaming. This one is very easy to set up. It's very good looking when you stream with it. You can maximum record 720 pixels. I should mention that. It doesn't go above that, but it is very nice to use. It's very simple. Let's just go ahead and jump into the next one, which is going to be Playclaw screen recorder. We'll take Fraps and OBS last, because I think that's the big ones. This one does, yeah, there you go. Looking at the user interface, I know a lot of you guys are going to be yelling at me saying, oh no, Windows 8 theme. Personally, I like Windows 8, the theme at least. I don't like the user interface of it, but I like how it looks. And I kind of like the interface here. The only problem I have with this is that if I need a certain function, let's say I want to do desktop recording. Where do we find desktop recording? Well, we have streaming over here, which it does have, which is a nice feature. I have not tested it out yet, so I don't actually... Well, it does say enable here, only available in H. Okay, so only MP4 option, Twitch, YouTube. Okay, so it does have different kinds of things here. I don't know if I think this is free. I don't think you need to pay for this. I forgot to mention Mirillis Action. You do actually need to pay a monthly fee to stream. This one you do not. Now, if I want to do desktop recording, where would I find it? In coding? Nope. There's nothing in here saying anything. You do actually need to go down in general settings and turn on desktop recording, and it'll be up here in the corner. Now, desktop recording here is very unstable for me. I don't know about other PCs or Macs for that sake, but desktop recording and just regular recording inside games is very unstable for me in this one. It just doesn't work. I don't know if this is a new screen recorder, if, they're still trying to figure things out. But this one is, like, Playclaw 5 just doesn't work for me. I bought it because I heard that it was supposedly very CPU friendly, meaning that it does not take up a lot of CPU power to use, which will usually drop your frame rate while you're recording games. And that is a good thing. There's nothing more annoying than running a game and then you turn on the screen recorder, suddenly your frames get dropped 20 points, which is just terrible. I bought this one because it was supposed to be CPU friendly, but everything else doesn't seem to really work for me. It does have a lot of overlay features. I need to mention that. It does have FPS, clock, CPU, GPU, image, recording statistics, stopwatch, text, timer, TeamSpeak, webcam. It has all these kinds of overlays, which is kind of awesome. It just doesn't run very stable on my computer. It might crash a game. It might unsynchronize it. It might speed up my footage. It might come out as corrupted. It's kind of crazy. And personally, I would not recommend this one at the moment. After they update it, after they get some stuff fixed, you could, end up with a really stable thing, because it doesn't really seem that complicated. But it's just not working for me right now. The different codec settings, we should probably go over those. You have these 5 settings at the moment, and I'm saying at the moment because these also change from time to time depending on the update. You have this funky feature down here called Video for Windows Unknown, which I don't see why I would call it that. I don't know if this is sort of a testing for them to run or what this is, but it does have different, this is MP4 formats down here. Then it has MJPEG, which I guess is motion JPEG, and which is compressed, by the way. Fast up here is also a compressed feature, I think. It might not be, I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into this program because it's just not working for my computer, but it does have these different kinds of coding settings. You can choose frame rate down here. I guess you can write in a customized one. I can try. I guess you can, which is kind of nice. But I don't really know. You can choose compression threads down here. It has these kind of funky features, which I think you need to be kind of a tech geek to actually be using. If you're a person who has never touched compression threads before and that sort of thing, I don't know how useful this is going to be for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this screen recorder for now and just jump to the next one because, like I said, it is just not working out for me. The second last one we're going to be taking a look at is Fraps. And like I said, Fraps, I saved the big one for last because a lot of people out there are going to be saying, hey, you need to get Fraps for recording. It is the best. I have a different opinion on Fraps. I'm not saying it's a bad recorder. I actually really, really like Fraps. The interface is very simple. As you guys can see, the user interface is very simple. I do not like how simple it is. It does have a lot of features that are lacking. I don't see any streaming features in here. I don't see any customized codec settings. What do you call it? It already, from standard, runs at a lossless format of some sort of encoding settings. I believe it's MP4 it runs at, which is good if it's lossless. I'm not sure. But I need to mention that even though it's running MP4 and that sort of thing, it is very stable. When you record stuff, it doesn't get out of sync. When you play stuff and suddenly the game crashes while you're using it, it doesn't screw up your footage. It doesn't corrupt it. Now, if you want to record at desktop recording, tutorials and that sort of thing, if you're running Windows 8, you're going to have troubles running this thing. Because last time I checked on my laptop, which is Windows 8, it can't record Windows 8. It just can't record the desktop. So you might have some issues there. I don't know if they updated it by now. I don't know if they're going to update it later. But at the moment, I don't think it's working out for Windows 8. So just a little hint for you guys out there. Fraps might be really good for gameplay recording. It's excellent for gameplay recording, but not as much for desktop recording. Now, I do want to mention, on my laptop, Fraps does not seem to be crashing any games. When I use it on this computer, which is my stationary, which is a pretty high-end stationary, it has a tendency to crash some games. Like, well, I can't really mention anyone specific right now, but I know that if you try any Call of Duty games, it has a tendency to screw up your mouse sensitivity. So it is quite heavy on your computer compared to other screen recorders. And it does go in and interrupt some of the other regular computer features like the mouse and that sort of thing. But it is very reliable and stable on pretty much most games, pretty much all games. It does come out with large file sizes. It is very infamous for coming out with large file sizes, which is a good thing because, like I said, lossless is good. So we just have basic general settings, FPS, movies, screenshots. There's not a lot of options in here, really. I don't know what else to get into with this software other than saying that it, like I said, if you're out for gameplay stuff, Fraps is pretty good for it. So let's just go ahead and jump back to the next one, which is OBS, which is the last one we're going to take a look at. OBS is free. You do not need to pay money for this one, but it is very complicated if you're not used to this kind of screen recorder. I do want to mention though that for a free screen recorder, it is probably the best looking quality I've seen out there on, gameplay recording and desktop recording for a free screen recorder. If I were to, I'm very picky about my quality on YouTube. If I were to somehow get all my screen recorders broken and the only one working is OBS, I would still be using OBS as a last resort. I would not say, okay, I'm not going to upload anything till I get my screen recorders fixed. OBS is excellent in quality. It is just kind of a pain in the ass to set up. I had to look up a tutorial on how to go into settings and set up my encoding options, which looks like I'm not much of a tech geek enough to understand what my max bitrate need to be at. I don't know what kind of code, I know what kind of encoder setting I should be using, but I'm not sure what CBR padding is. Enable CBR padding, I'm not sure what that is. Custom buffer size, I don't know what that is. So there's a lot of stuff in here that you should probably look up a tutorial on how to set it up, like I did, in order to get this set up. But when it's actually set up, it is quite easy to use. This one is mainly used for streaming, for like Twitch and that sort of thing. And it's free. You don't have to pay a monthly fee for streaming. And it's actually very excellent at it as soon as you get it set up, like I said. You can also do just regular recording down here. And then you can preview your recording down here just to see how it looks like before I actually get started. You can actually see everything you're recording inside the window that's going to open up in here. I'm not going to turn on the recording right now because I'm actually recording with Bandicam, so it might interfere. But you can actually go in here and just see a screen of what you're recording, so you can actually preview it as you're doing it, which is kind of nice. If you do actually need to set up a gameplay that you're going to be doing with this program, you do actually need to go down and do these special kinds of scenes down here. Like, as you guys can see, I have different modes depending on what kind of recording I'm about to do. If I do gameplay plus webcam, which is a gameplay thing, you do actually need to go in and set up every single individual game you will be playing with this software. You actually do need to turn on the game, go into settings and, like the sources down here and set up a game, like right click and add game capture, and you give the game a blah, blah, blah name, and then you open it up, and then you need to find the game that you have open here, which is kind of a painful process every single time, which gets quite annoying. But once you actually get it set up, it seems to be very stable. I have not experienced out of sync stuff with this software, so I could recommend this one as a free option. For all the free screen recorders I've seen out there, this one is the one that I could recommend based on reliability and quality. So now I need to mention a couple of things with these screen recorders. Personally, I think that Bandicam at the moment, as it stands, is the best one for if you're both going to be doing gameplay and desktop recording. If you're only planning on gameplay, I could recommend either Mirillis Action, Bandicam, or Fraps. All three of them are excellent at gameplay recording. And like I said, even though Mirillis Action does have problems right now, it does seem very stable when I do gameplay recording. Not as much on desktop recording, but gameplay-wise, it does seem very stable. And I like the customization it has. Same thing with Bandicam. I like the customization it has. Now, when it comes to desktop recording, either use, I would say, OBS as one of them, even though it's the free one. Use OBS because it seems stable on it, or use Bandicam. Fraps, like I said, is mostly for gameplay. There's, like, for example, the Windows 8 issue is just a big issue for me. If it does not work on a certain platform, it's automatically a strike for me. I don't use it for desktop recording because it seems unstable for doing that specific task. So, like I said, there's no specific screen recorder that's better than others. It really does depend on the purpose you're using it for. So, my recommendation is Bandicam, as it is right now. It's not my favorite, it's just the one I recommend right now. If I have actually said Bandicam was my favorite, I did actually mention to say in the beginning of this video that it is just my recommended right now, with the updates and everything from all the screen recorders. So, I hope you guys did find this very useful. I hope I got into as much as I could. I did not want to go past half an hour, which I'm about to reach right now. So I hope you guys got enough information to actually make a decision here, as it is right now when I uploaded this video down in the time. Because like I said, a year from now, this might be outdated, and who knows, Playclaw could be the newest, hottest screen recorder that's the most reliable and awesome quality looking screen recorder out there. So everything changes every month. So I hope you guys found this useful. Please do leave a like if you did. It will help other people see this video if you do actually think that it's useful enough for other people to see. And I hope to see you guys later. Bye.